Hi, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. So, this podcast is called Liberated and Fragile, and I couldn't think of a more perfect name to call my podcast because I'm out here on my own, living alone at 18. I'm learning so much along the way, and I feel very liberated. But at the same time, nighttime comes and I'm all alone, and I really feel that, and I feel very fragile. So, I think it wouldn't have been authentic to call it like the Liberated podcast or the Fragile podcast because I think there's definitely a bit of both. So I thought, why not just put both of these words together? And so that is the name that has spawned from this. And I'm very excited about this. And this is genuinely going to be a passion project rather than anything else. And if you enjoy it, that's great. I'm enjoying doing this. And for the first episode, I thought, what better way than to ask my audience questions that they may have about living alone, questions they may have about changes within my life, and just openly talk with it. So, first of all, if you're listening to this now, go get yourself a drink because we're in for a conversation. And I really want to clarify that we're in for a conversation that I also you can listen to, but if you want, you can go onto my social medias and continue the conversation with me. So, this is equal and I want this to be a big community conversation. So I'm currently drinking a Coke with vanilla vodka. Now, this is one of them drinks for me that has memories attached. I don't know about you, but if you've been on a night out and you're drinking a certain drink and some big event happens, whenever you drink that drink again, you remember that event. For me, that's what vanilla vodka is. I'm not going to get into the specifics of the event because we don't need to, but the last time I drank this drink, it was a very traumatic night, and I'm drinking it again now, and while I love the flavor, the memories are flushing back. So I'm going to take a sip. Let me know if you're taking a drip of your drink, a singular drip of it. Let me know what you're drinking right now, whether it's water, whether it's whatever, and we can continue the conversation. So, with that being said, let's just get straight into it. So, overall initial opinions of being out on my own before we get to questions, I just want to say that it's great. I didn't think it was going to be so great, but living on your own and having your own rules and having your own standard of living, like I control what I do with my day. And that is so great because as a creative person, I feel like I need that. And a lot of people may need structure. I don't do well under structuredness. I feel like I need messiness. I feel like I need some sort of trashiness within my day. I need chaos. I need me to be stressed. For some reason, whenever my day is stressful, it's one of my most favorite days because I get most work done. I work well under pressure, which was also a big reason in college that I left a lot of work towards the night before because it was my best performance whenever I was under pressure and stressed and all that business. People may hear that and be like, what the fuck? Other people may hear it and be like, yep, that's me too. I know a lot of my friends hear the exact same. So living alone allows me to choose what I'm going to do with my day, and it's very chaotic. I have 3 animals. I have Bonnie, who is my French bulldog. I have my 2 kittens. I have Tyler and Milo. So my only real structure for the day is I take Bonnie on a walk. I feed the cats. I play with the cats. I play with Bonnie. And I make sure my animals' needs are, I would say, above mine. I make sure that they're taken care of. And then the rest of my day, it's just like doing whatever the fuck I want. And I feel like that comes into play with adulthood and depending on what your upbringing was like and how the childhood period for you was, what you were doing during that. And even the teenage years. In my teenage years, I felt very trapped because of where I was from, but also more importantly, because you were in a routine that you had to stick and it was day after day after day, whether through college or just living under a family house. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. I just mean it, whenever you're living in a family house, you're living with, well, I was living with 4 other people. And those 4 other people have their own life. But, dinner's at a certain time, breakfast is at a certain time, lunch is at a certain time. You come downstairs to watch TV at a certain time. It's very structured, and for me, that never worked. And I would have so much conflict with my parents about that because I never enjoyed living with someone else's schedule. You know, they would be going to bed at midnight at latest, and I'd be going to bed whenever they were waking up at 9 a.m. And I didn't want to eat dinner whenever they wanted to eat dinner because I was working. I was in my most energetic period during 5 p.m. I didn't want to sit down and, you know, eat dinner for 30 minutes or 40 minutes. I wanted to be working. I wanted to be out on a walk, out on a run, at the gym, whatever. I went to the gym for a good couple of weeks and I really enjoyed that. However, I'm super stressed because in Brighton, the gyms are very posy and it's stressing me out. I so badly want to be able to go to the gym because I want to be able to go swimming. However, every time I go to apply to a gym here, everyone is super ripped already. Everyone is super built up. And at the gyms back home, I went to a gym called Pure Gym in Derry, and I would always go at 4 a.m. So no other fucker was there. Literally no fuckers were there. So it would just be me and maybe the cleaner. But here, there's like strict hours, you know what I mean? Like they close at 10 p.m. and everyone is there at all fucking hours of them being opening, and everyone is already built up, everyone has all their muscles, everyone has their shirt off. And I have no problem with my body, but I just don't like being around that because it makes me feel super uncomfortable because the obvious fucking reason do I need to get into it? Like I feel like I'm not able to work out if I feel like I'm being watched. Back home I wasn't, but over here, like all the gyms are like fucking outdoor and all like this bullshit as well, and I'd be so scared of getting a fucking sunburn, and Paris Hilton has taught me about how fucking scared of the sun I should be, and it's just a fucking nightmare. So I mean, that's a whole other fucking subgenre. But being on your own, you really do control your own narrative of your own day, and you really realize that time is not real. I keep fucking saying that, but you can live on whatever schedule you want. You can take fucking 7 naps a day. You know, depending on your work schedule, you can nap the entire day and be awake whenever no one else is awake. You can do the complete opposite. You can be a morning person. You can be a night person. Do what the fuck you fucking want. So with that, though, comes a lot of damage because you can waste time away. You can sleep a lot. No one's waking you up. You can take a lot of naps. No one's telling you that you shouldn't be napping. You can forget to eat dinner and eat a bunch of snacks. You can, you know what I mean? It's a line that I'm trying to learn. Being out on your own, going from being in the family unit towards being out doing everything by myself, it's quite hard because you're not only trying to balance, you know, living in a new place. Well, I am anyway. I'm trying to balance how to keep myself going and keep myself thriving. Is that the right use of that word? I never really use that fucking word, but I feel like that is the perfect time to use it. Keep myself thriving, and looking after yourself is very important, and it's something I've always prioritized. And whenever you're doing everything yourself in terms of maintaining your apartment, maintaining your bills, maintaining having food in your apartment, maintaining your animals as well, because that's a whole other responsibility, and also maintaining social interactions. Because when you're out on your fucking own, you will realize how easy it is to isolate yourself. It takes a lot of effort to organize events. It takes a lot of effort to message your friends, especially when you move a whole ass country away from them. That's me talking about friends from home. But friends from Brighton, it takes a lot of energy to keep up social interactions when you're just out on your own because you get so used to being by yourself. And that is a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because you're the longest commitment in your life. You're the one who is always going to be with you. You know, people can be in your life for a long time, but people come and go out of your life. You will be the most permanent thing in your life always. And that's something that I've always instilled in myself. But whenever you instill that too much in yourself, you can isolate yourself from people. So it's like maintaining all of these different things. So I was very excited to put on my social medias and ask people what they were interested in learning about whenever I had moved out on my own, and some of the responses are super interesting. So I had put it on my Instagram story, and I'm just going to scroll to the bottom and read certain questions and answer them to the best of my ability. So I'm going to take a little sip of my drink and we're going to get into it. So let's do it. Okay, so someone said, best thing about Brighton, I'm moving there for uni soon. You're the best. The best thing is that it's a very big city, big town, but feels like a very small one. So there's a lot of people, but it feels like a community. Someone said, how do you find yourself adjusting to a new country? Is it worth it that you're alone and no roomies? I'm going to be honest, I don't think I could live with people. This is my problem now. I'm so used to being by myself and being on my own schedule that I feel like I would be a nightmare to live with people. I clean up at my own rate, which I feel like would annoy people, and it should, you know what I mean? I'm creative at my own hours. I'm loud at certain hours where other people want to sleep, and I don't feel like I could live with people. I have always had this thing where I just feel like I'm a lone bird. And yeah, so you're asking like, how do you find yourself adjusting? I'm doing fine. It feels no different than being back in Derry because I'm doing the exact same routine as what I was because I always kind of lived doing my own thing back in Derry. Thankfully, my parents allowed me to do that. And you're saying, is it worth it that you're alone and no roomies? I couldn't do it any other way, but that doesn't speak for everyone though, because I know a lot of people have different preferences. Someone said, I moved to England alone when I was 19 too. What's something new that you're learning about yourself? Something new I'm learning about myself is that I am very one with myself. And I don't know if that translates to me just saying that, but I'm finding that I'm able to just sit and do nothing. I never thought I would be able to just sit, be at peace, and appreciate things around me. And this has to do with I've started reading a lot and I've started, doing a lot of art and other creative things. And I feel like I can just sit and do nothing. And I'm not even thinking, I'm just being. And it's so nice. So that's something I'm learning about myself, that I have a lot more patience than I ever thought I could fucking have. Someone said how to deal with loneliness when living alone. Loneliness is a fucking bitch when you're living alone. Holy shit, let me fucking tell you. The daytime is completely fine. Like, you're busy, it's bright, it's beautiful, but when it hits dark and you feel lonely, like there's been a couple times where I've felt lonely when I'm out here, and it's fucking so... It makes you feel so distraught. How to deal with it? I have animals, so I feel like I'm not the best person to speak about this because my animals are such great company. And obviously we have FaceTime and we have texting and we have Zoom and Skype and social media and books as well. You have different distractions or creative outlets. How do you deal with it? I honestly just evaluate what I would be doing if I was with people, because I really do feel like I have a social battery, and the older I get and the more in a pandemic that we fucking are, my social battery is like 4 hours with people. And after the 4 hours, I don't want to be talking to people anymore. I don't want to be there. I don't want to, I just want to be gone. And that's the fucking worst whenever you're with people and you can't escape a situation. And it has nothing to do with the people I'm with because I love them very much. But I just don't want to talk anymore, and I don't want to be surrounded by people anymore. And so whenever I get the feeling of being very lonely, I'm like, okay, so imagine people are here. How do I feel now? And then I'm like, okay, I'd be talking to them, but like eventually I'd be like, okay, I just want to like be off on my own. And then I'm like, okay, Queen, hear yourself. Like, did you just hear what you just said? And I'm realizing that I always want what I don't have in that moment. And once you realize that that's your mentality, or at least it is for me, it kind of flips a switch to be more grateful for what you have and not seek after what you don't have. And that goes for loneliness or not being surrounded by people. So that's kind of where I'm at with that right now. Someone else said, is it weird knowing that your parents aren't really responsible for you anymore? I feel like I've always been very responsible for my own self. I feel like I could have moved out years ago, and my parents would vouch for that as well. I don't really think so. Honestly, I don't mean to... No. Yeah, do I feel weird that they're not responsible for me anymore? No, I've always been an independent person. I don't, honestly. Someone said, what is something odd you noticed about yourself now that you're alone 24/7? Something odd about myself is that I'm a good singer. I realized this a couple of weeks ago, and I was singing and I was able to harmonize well. And I FaceTimed one of my friends and I was showing her, and she's a singer, and she was like, holy shit, like, why have you never showed me this, because anytime I sing on camera or on social media or in a live stream, I always fuck around because I feel like that's a very vulnerable setting. So I'll never sing how I would normally sing if you've ever, heard me, unless you're hearing me sing in person, which makes sense because I would have said that I was a pretty good singer whenever I was young and then I just stopped singing. But I'm realizing that I have a pretty stable voice. So that's probably something. Someone said, how much of your fridge is Red Bull? Surprisingly, not that much. I did do an order of 12 Red Bulls today, but I don't drink a lot of Red Bull. I feel like people overestimate, or is that the right word? Let's be honest. I did well in English in school. I've been removed from school for a long time. I don't drink as much Red Bull as people think I do. I think I drank a lot of Red Bull years ago, especially in 2019. Me and my friend Joy used to drink Red Bull like water. Like fucking water. Like holy water. We would throw that shit down our throats and like throw it over our fucking faces. And Joy introduced me to it. No, that's actually bullshit. Jeffree Star introduced me to it. And then Joy really liked it as well. Then I met Joy, then we would drink it together. We would drink like 5 cans, like a day. That was during our exam period. Nowadays, I drink like 2 Red Bulls a week. And I genuinely mean that. Whenever I would go out on nights out, I would have a Red Bull vodka. But even at that, I just, unless I want motivation to work, I feel like sometimes I'll drink a Red Bull and be like, okay, now I can work. Like it's a placebo effect. Like, oh, I have so much energy, even though I know it does fucking nothing for me. I don't know, especially since moving out here, I've been making my own coffees and like going to like independent coffee shops as opposed to drinking Red Bull, which thank fuck because my body needed it. Okay, Caitlin Kelly. Hi, Caitlin. Is this the Caitlin that I know? I don't know. I know a Caitlin Kelly. Hi. How are you gonna make friends, especially with COVID? Help a girl out. It's been hard. Social media, and I hate to preach that because we've been told all our lives, be careful of people online. And don't get me wrong, do. Because I'll get to it eventually, but there was someone that I met out here in Brighton, and I had met them through social media. Not like a dating app or anything, like literally a social media, like going out to get coffee, like hi, hello, being nice. They did not look like their picture. They did not act how they acted on social media, and it was very daunting. So be careful with social media and always meet people in a very public setting. That is my advice, babies. However, social media is great for meeting people. I met my best friend out here, Rachel, on social media. Rachel had messaged me on Twitter, and I messaged them back. And we were just talking for weeks. I feel like evaluate it case by case, whether you want to actually meet that person moving forward. Again, please make sure to do it in a very public situation, a very public place. But whenever I met Rachel, it was after talking to them for like 2 months, a month and a half. Social media is great. You can join groups, you can join like community forums. You can follow certain artists that are from a certain area, and there's like fan bases that are, say from London who support all these people, and then you can make friends through that. Or honestly, just asking people. I asked my friends from Derry, hey, I'm moving here, I don't know that many people, and they had connections, and family will know people, maybe family friends will know people, maybe guardians will know people. And it's all about connections. And if you don't have that, social media is your best friend. I have tweeted out so many times, hey, is anyone from London? I want to do something. And people have got me back, and I've been like, okay, let's do something tomorrow. You know what I mean? Obviously being safe about it, but like that. One thing I will say though, please, for the love of fucking God, do not rely on dating apps for going out and meeting people. I mean like going out on like coffee dates and stuff like that. Please do not do that. I personally have never done that. However, I know my friends back home in Derry used to use Tinder to like go out to coffee dates with people, and let's just say they had the worst experiences. So, Caitlin, do not do that. Someone said, how's cooking for you? I loved cooking when I was back home in Derry, and I hate it when I'm out on my own. I don't know what it was because nothing has changed. I used to do the most exquisite vegan dishes when I was back home in Derry, even like a month and a half ago. Now, bitch, I'm making a ready cooked meal. I don't know what it is. I feel like because there's like no one to be like, ooh, look at what I just cooked. I just get a fucking ready meal now. You know what I mean? Like I get like mac and cheese, or I get like a pasta dish as a ready meal. I have, though, been making my own pasta sauce. Not butter noodles, but like a tomato based sauce. I don't know. The easier, the better. I am on the go. I want to eat and then go back to what I was doing. So if a meal requires more than 1 hour, excuse me, Adam, that is way too generous. If something takes more than 30 minutes, I am not fucking doing that. Am I wrong for saying that? Like, that's a bit fucking demanding. That's a bit fucking much. I'm not doing that. Let's see what other people. Yeah, I have no time for cooking. I love doing it, but it needs to be at my fucking pace, you know what I mean? Someone said, "What's the hardest thing about moving?" The hardest thing about moving is the comfortability. I was so comfortable back in Derry, and even now, like, I look back and I miss, my friends, and I miss the comfortability of knowing so many people and being like, I want to do something right now. I'm going to message my friend. I'm going to message my friend. And knowing that I can do something. Because out here, it's like, okay, I want to message someone, but I just met this person, so I don't want to annoy them. I don't know my boundaries yet. With my friends back home, I would know my boundaries and I would push them to be like, hey, I want to do something, let's do it now. And we would do it. So I guess the comfortability of knowing people, knowing the areas, knowing your favorite coffee shops, something as simple as that, knowing your favorite restaurants, your favorite shops, knowing your favorite walk trails, it's all down to comfortability, because you lose that when you move to a new area where you don't know people. And I know people out here, but it's just not the same, you know what I mean? Because it's going to take the same amount of time to build that up, build the level of comfortability up that I had back home, because that was 18 years in the fucking making. So that's my answer to that. Someone said, what made you move? What made me move, honestly, was I was scared of staying in Derry. I was scared of that. And I had many conversations with my friends about it, many conversations with my parents. I was just terrified. I didn't want to fall into, again, being comfortable in Derry and then never moving out and looking back on my life when I'm like 30 and being like, you know what, I didn't take any risks. And I'm not saying 30 is old. I'm saying 30 is like, where you make decisions on what you want to do in your 40s and then your 50s. And I don't want to look back and be like, oh, even in my 20s or my teen years, I never took any risks. And this was a big risk. I've never been anywhere without my parents for like longer than a week. And it's been like a month without them and a month without my friends, and I'm doing great. But I needed to get past that barrier in my head of comfortability, and I don't know. I honestly, without bullshitting you, I was scared. I didn't want to end up like I've seen people end up where, they fall into a trail of just staying from where they're from whenever they have the opportunity to go somewhere else, but it's easier for them to, stay where they're from. Some people love staying where they're from, and to them, great. For me, no. I just didn't want that. I know a lot of people who do want to stay in Derry and are staying in Derry, and they're so happy there, and I'm so happy for them. I wasn't happy there, so I made the decision, the sharp decision, let me fucking tell you. I found this apartment, booked it, paid for it, done, moved out within the course of like 4 weeks. It was insanely chaotic. I needed to do that for myself because I felt like I would be holding myself behind if I didn't. And I'm only 18, and I really understand that 18 is so young. I really get it. Like I'm literally a teenager, and I was 16 2 years ago. I was, like 16, 17, 18. Is that 3 years? I don't fucking know. I failed maths. I just had to get it out, and being scared made me want to do it quickly. And the night that I knew I had to do it, I was on a FaceTime call with my friend Grace from home, and she was talking to me about uni or university, college. And she was saying how she was looking at accommodation for when she goes to university. And I was like, oh, sweet. Like, I knew I wasn't going to university because I had dropped out of my college. And she was like, yeah, so in September, like, I'll be moving here. And I was like, what? Like, you're going to be gone in September? Then I was like, Joy, are you going to be gone? Joy's gone in September. Brian's gone in September. Ellie's gone. All my friends are gone in September from Derry. And I was like, holy shit, because I'm not in college, I don't have that little push on that I need to be, moving on with my life in September. So the next day I told my mom, I was like, I have to do this. and I need to do this. I want to do this where I have to move, because if I don't do it now, I'm not going to do it. And my parents have always been supportive of my decisions, but also they know that I'm smart. They know that I'm not going to do something if I can't handle it. And so thank you, Grace, for making me realize that. And maybe 2 days after that call with Grace, I had booked this apartment. That was how quick it was. And most things in my life have been so chaotically quick like that. I've came up with my tattoo designs the day of getting them. I woke up one day, didn't realize I was getting a tattoo, then decided to get one. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how I work with life. I don't like planning things. I hate when things are too organized. As I said at the start of this episode, it just needs to be a bit messy for me, which is probably great considering my job is so messy. Like, YouTube is so up and down. YouTube is so, you can't control that. I'll never meet I'll never meet Susan Wojcinski. Is that her name? I love you, Queen. Please keep my channel going. You know what I mean? Like, I'll never meet my boss, and YouTube can take away and they can give, and it's insane. And I feel like it's the perfect job for me because it keeps me on my toes. So, someone said, how are Bonnie, Tyler, and Milo getting along? I was nervous to introduce Bonnie, my French bulldog, to the two kittens, but she's been loving them. She is used to rough company with other dogs, and so it has been an adjustment for her to get used to playful, soft company of kittens. Tyler is getting very big, so Tyler is like perfect for Bonnie because he wants to like play back with her. They've all been amazing. Bonnie has been such a gem in all like this. And it really goes to show that people's perceptions of the bulldog and that kind of breed are completely wrong. They think they're aggressive. They think they're demanding, destructive, awful dogs. And meanwhile, Bonnie gets into bed with the kittens and goes to sleep. You know what I mean? They're getting on great, and I'm so grateful because I realized that it could have gone away where Bonnie didn't like the kittens or the kittens didn't like Bonnie, and I had to make a decision based on that. You know what I mean? I knew that was an option, and I had ulterior things lined up in case that came to be. So someone said, are you struggling with missing home? I don't think so, honestly. I don't want to bullshit you, and I don't want to lie. I'm not. I went home to Derry a couple weeks ago because I had a spontaneous trip of where I just needed to see my friend Joy. That was it. Like, I needed to go on a walk with Joy, and so I booked flights and went home and did that. And I also had some business things to do back in Derry. And I went back, and I was so excited. I was on the flight. I was like, I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna be back. I was on the bus. I was like, I'm so excited to be walking around again. I'm so excited to see my family. And once I got there, I was so excited to see my family and so excited to see Joy. And I got to the streets of Derry, and I went, oh my God. The memories that I don't want to remember came back. I looked around and I was like, it's beautiful, but I just don't associate it with home anymore. And it's not me saying that I associate Brighton with home. I'm in an in-between period. I don't think I've been living in Brighton long enough to call it home, but I feel so detached from Derry now, and I felt so detached for months before I moved that I came home and I was like, it doesn't feel like home to me, and I feel strange being here. And so I wouldn't say I'm missing it. Honestly, that's my answer. I hope it's not a disappointing one, because I'm seeing a bunch of, are you homesick? No. Like, I mean, I miss my family and I love my family, but my family know I'm doing good out here, and I know my family are doing good back there. So it's like, we're not needy people. We never have been. So I'm like looking through the comments here and seeing what people are saying. Someone said, do you feel safe knowing that you're so far away from people that you know? I do feel very safe in this apartment. This apartment block is very safe. It has a lot of, security guards, different pin codes, different whatever. But aside from actual safety locks and keys and all that bullshit, which isn't bullshit because I appreciate it, thank you for keeping me safe, I feel very safe here, I would say. more so than I feel in Derry, because Brighton is a very accepting place and it's a very forward place. And I feel like England really is, especially where the south of England. Like, I can go up to London and I still feel very safe there, which is wild because London, can not be the safest of times. It's just a more diverse place with different people, with more people, loving people, and I feel really safe here. And especially when I compare it with back home. So if that answers your question, someone said, can you talk about the cost if you're comfortable with it? Okay. This apartment is expensive per month. However, I don't really have to focus on that because I had to do a 6-month payment upfront. And I really don't talk about money, but I mean, let's get into it. So I had to do 6 months of rent in a 1-month payment and then pay my security deposit, which was a couple £1,000 as well. And rent per month is a couple £1,000. So you can imagine what that cost was. And then the cost of flights for me and my dad coming over, he moved in with me. The cost of living over here is a lot more expensive than Derry. Like, I mean, even going and getting a coffee. Public transport is a lot more expensive. So, and getting your groceries when you're alone, getting the animals food, the animals puppy pads, litter, toys, stuff for me, even just allowing myself an allowance per month of going out and splurging, I mean? Like, it's expensive. And I'm not going to bullshit that. And I feel like that's an important conversation that needs to be had whenever people are out on their own. And that even goes for when you're moving to college or university. You have a lot of costs to cover yourself. And I mean this talking to someone who's going into a university block, where you're in student accommodation. You have to get your own groceries. You have to pay for your soap, your toilet roll, these things that you don't think about because they were just kind of there for you, or at least they were for me. Deodorant, clothes, public transport. There's a lot of cost to living alone, and that's the essentials. And then on top of that, it's like, if you want to go out and get a coffee, you want to go out and get lunch, or if you have to buy pots and pans and your baking oil, and there's a lot to living alone in terms of cost, and no one really talked about it. And that's why I was so I came out here and I was like, holy fuck, like, you have to buy your own toilet roll. How stupid of a thought is that? That is the most dumb fucking thought ever. But it's like, I never really thought about that. And that doesn't even take into account taxes. I don't mean to bring up this full, schools don't teach us about taxes, whatever, but they motherfucking don't. I didn't know about taxes. I didn't know about living tax. I didn't know about business tax. I didn't know about YouTube tax. I didn't know about, I do now. Holy fuck. Like, got that sorted. I have an accountant. I'm doing everything right. But before that, I never knew about any of this bullshit, and it's because we really don't get taught about it because it isn't a priority for some fucking reason. But algebra is. I am gonna sound like every person who hates school here. I have not used a single piece of anything that I learned in secondary school. I mean, like in geography, history, maths, any of these subjects, have not applied it in my life since I left secondary school. English, maybe. That's just because I love English. Anything else, you don't fucking use it. And I get that you're in school, you have to do it. Having an education is a privilege. 100% get that. But why is living not brought into that? Why is maintaining having a legal life with taxes, with paying your bills, with everything, working out all these different... Why isn't that taught in school? Because that's been the hardest struggle that I'm out on my own. And I mean, I'm not in student accommodation where, the landlord is going to step in and be like, hey, you haven't done this, this, this. I'm in a professional apartment block where it's expected. My neighbors are doctors. My neighbors are these high-end people who, they know what they're fucking doing. They're establishing. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And I'm still learning it. And I mean learning it in this present fucking time. And we don't get taught about it, and it's not okay. And we can go back and forth about, what do schools prioritize, but they don't prioritize what we actually need to fucking know. So that's my honest opinion, and where I wanted to take the conversation about you asking about money and the cost. I hope that helped. So someone said, how do you protect your mental health while being without other people? How do I protect my mental health? I don't spend all day on my phone. This may be shocking. I don't spend all day on my phone. You know why? Phone bad. Phone bad. Social media bad. Social media bad. Social media no good for my mental health. So my phone no good for my mental health. And I genuinely mean that. I use my phone, I use my social media a lot throughout the day, but I realize how much I use it. And then sometimes I'm like, okay, my phone goes down now and I exist now. I go sit outside. I read a book now. I cook now. I go to the supermarket. I go for a walk. I play with my animals. I'm not allowing myself to be fully consumed by Twitter, because who the fuck cares about Twitter? Twitter is one of the worst fucking places. I'm gonna do an entire fucking round. Twitter is one of the worst fucking places ever. Instagram, no fucking better. TikTok wastes all my fucking time. And I love social media. I love social media. But I feel like we have an unrealistic amount of normalization on how much time we should be spending on it. And because of that, we're so fucking warped. Our brains are so accustomed to quick media. Especially TikTok, fast video, fast video, fast video. And I had to really limit how much time I was spending on TikTok, because I was realizing that I would watch 50 videos and not be able to retain the knowledge of what any of the 50 videos were. And that's not normal. YouTube, in my opinion, is different, because YouTube is, longer form content, which I love. TikTok, I'm like, how the fuck did I watch all of these videos and I don't know what a single fucking one of them was about? If you were to ask me, didn't fucking know. And it's like, that is wasting your time. And like, you can look at social media like, a treat. You're on TikTok, you're having fun with it. I agree that I have fun on TikTok, but at a certain stage, I'm like, I'm wasting my time. I love allocating before I go to bed watching TikToks, but if I'm watching TikToks throughout the day, I'm like, I'm wasting an ungodly amount of time on this. And that goes for Twitter. I scroll through Twitter, negativity, and I'm like, who the fuck cares? Like, this is just a bunch of people tweeting, and that goes for me tweeting as well. I love Twitter. Is Twitter necessary? Is TikTok necessary? Is any social... You know what I mean? Like, and this comes from someone who is directly affected by if you decide not to use social media. Like, you're watching my videos, that is my job. However, that being said, I'm able to upload on YouTube and I'm able to exist as a content creator and not be always consumed by having to be on my phone. And so how do I deal with my mental health? My mental health has gotten so good ever since I've had healthy boundaries with my phone. Sometimes I leave the house and I don't even bring my phone with me, because I don't need it. And I mean that when I'm going and doing whatever. For safety, I believe you should always have your phone on you. But I'm talking like, if I would go on a walk in the park, I would bring my phone with me and sit down in the park and watch TikToks. Why not just fucking look at nature? So with that being said, I do think that the overall concept of having your phone on you all the time is great, because, people can contact you and you can contact people. But if it's being abused, as how I was doing it personally, by just using it as an escape from what was around me, that's what affected my mental health. So whenever I realized that that's what I was doing, stopped doing it, and applied my life where I had healthy boundaries with my phone and social media, I realized that my mental health was not declining because of that. And I can now sit, like I said, in silence for long periods of time, read books without getting distracted. At a certain stage, I was so consumed by short media content like TikTok that I could not watch a 10-minute YouTube video. Isn't that so sad? But I feel like I'm not the only one who's in that boat. Because I want you to think about that right now. If you watch TikTok, maybe you don't. It's so much content so quick, and surely that can't be good for us. And I don't mean to be like, the fucking parent here, but surely that's not good. Just think about that. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's a bit weird for me. It's like I just think about it, and I need to have my boundaries. Ugh. Someone said, "Hey bestie, real talk. Are you scared of the dark?" No, I actually prefer the dark. I love whenever it's dark outside. That being said, I have been slowly turning into a very morning person, and it's currently 6:30 while I'm filming this, and it's so bright outside and it's gorgeous. But I love when it's dark outside. I always have. I'm starting to slowly love, Halloween period. I loved Christmas period. I love when it's dark and cozy. I've never associated it with being really scary. Maybe that's because I never really watched horror movies. I always watched, like warm Christmassy movies, which I associated with like dark imagery. Maybe that's it. I'm not scared of it. I'm sorry that you are. And I know a lot of people who are in person, and it makes me really sad because, it's something that I associate with like comfort and peacefulness, and it's something that is terrifying for other people. So it's interesting. It's interesting. So now I'm scrolling towards the top of the comments, and it's a lot of people just asking if I feel safe. I really do feel safe. I understand that that's a big concern for whenever you're living alone. But there's an interesting question here. It says, "What is your bedtime routine?" For me, it's a hot bath, skincare, cup of coffee. Pinkie Pie 25. Why are you drinking a cup of coffee before you go to bed? Like, that's something I don't even do. Disney piano music. Okay, I love the sound of that. My bedtime routine. Let me think. Let me get into the mindset of that. I always have to have a green tea. I have to have a green tea before I go to bed. And I have to read a book. And I have to know that every single lock in my house has been locked. I need to know that every tap has been turned off. I need to know that every light has been turned off. I need to know that every socket has been unplugged. I need to know that every door has been closed. I need to know that every window is shut. I need to lie down in my bed. I need there to be my 2 salt lamps on. I set my Alexa to be turned on and have my alarm set on the loudest setting so I fucking don't sleep through it. And I read a book. And I just drink my green tea and read a book. And sometimes if I don't want to do that, because, not every day, we're not a fucking robot. Like my routine is not always the exact fucking same. Sometimes I get into bed and I listen to albums on my Alexa. I just be like, "Alexa, play this album." And I will listen to the album in full length. And it's beautiful. And then I'll go to bed. I've never really, skincare and stuff. At nighttime, I just wash my face with water and soap. I don't do skincare at night. Too much work. In the morning is when I do my full skincare. At night, wash my face, brush my teeth, into bed. And I do that before my green tea, then I get in, then I fall asleep. I've never really had a complex nighttime routine because if I feel like I do, then I'm like doing too much, you know what I mean? And I'm not going to go to sleep because I'm like, ugh, I have a chore of list to do. Also, you mentioned about, I said you really weird. You mentioned baths. I can never get the perfect temperature for baths. It's either too fucking hot, and I mean, I'm so uncomfortable sweating in the bath, and I get a shower right after it, or it's too cold, or it's like just like lukewarm, and it's not nice. So, do you have advice? I need to get advice because I really want to get into baths. So, someone said, it was actually my friend Chris, "How many orgies do you plan on having?" Absolutely fucking none. No one is coming into my apartment. So, let me read one more. Let me see. Okay, Ambelism one, who I love very much. "Do your neighbors think that you're crazy dancing and talking alone in your apartment at night?" Surprisingly not. My apartment neighbors have been very nice and loving. There's an elderly couple below me who I talk to on the balcony very frequently. There is a bunch of, kind of middle-aged people in my row of apartments, there is some like 20-year-olds beside me that love to party all the time. Sometimes they talk to me. Everyone kind of does their own thing. I mean, they don't think well, I don't know if they think I'm crazy. I don't think they're crazy. And, sometimes they can be loud or sometimes they can be chaotic. I think we're all just minding our own business. It's kind of a really good environment here. Okay, this is actually going to be my last one. So Leah said, how do you deal with going places on your own? Oh, I'm actually going to answer two more. Sorry. How do you deal with going places on your own? When I moved out here, I was awful at this. I could not do it. I genuinely struggled so bad. I was so embarrassed going to a cafe and sitting outside on my own. And I don't know why, because again, that was something that I used to do all the time back in Derry. But for some reason, I was so embarrassed sitting on my own and eating, or like just sitting and having a coffee on my own. And I feel like I would need to like be on my phone to like look like I was busy or something. Now I'm getting better at it, so I like don't feel the need to like sit on my phone and I can just like look around. I think it all boils down to like, what's stopping you? What's stopping me from just doing things on our own? Is it fear of embarrassment from other people? Because let me tell you, whenever you're walking in a street with your friends and you see someone sitting alone and having a coffee, I don't go, oh my god, they're on their own, how embarrassing. And so then apply that to you. Like, no one gives a shit if you're sitting alone having a coffee. Literally, no one fucking cares. No one cares if you're going on a walk by yourself. No one cares if you're sitting in the park alone by yourself. It all boils down to like your perception of overthinking, which I always did, which is why I wasn't able to do all that when I first moved out. Now I'm like, who the fuck cares? And so how do I do it now? I just do it. Like, there's no real tactic to it. It's like, let me tell you, boss babe, no one cares that you're doing things on your own. They're too busy focused and thinking about themselves and their day like you are with yours whenever you're not doing things on your own. No one cares. Can we just normalize doing things on our own again? Okay, and then the final question is from Luke Harkin. He said, have you found more motivation for content since moving? Okay, interesting. Luke is a YouTuber from Derry, and so that's obviously where this question is stemming from. Have I found more motivation? Yes, absolutely. I have my own place, my own space, and again, it's all on my terms. And because we were in a pandemic and in Derry, I wasn't seeing new things, I wasn't touching new things, I wasn't smelling new things, ha ha ha, all the innuendos I can imagine you all thinking. So I wasn't feeling, inspired or creative. So I wasn't really that inspired or creative in any of my work. That goes YouTube, that goes college, that goes even just, mentally progressing. So whenever I move to a new place and, things are open, it's beautiful, there's people about, I'm meeting new people, I'm having new experiences, seeing, touching new things, ha ha ha, all the innuendos. It's very inspiring towards me. So then I apply that to work, to college. Well, I don't go to college anymore, but work or, personal growth. And that's the most inspiring thing. I don't think it has to do with if you're living somewhere new, if you moved country, you're living alone or whatever like that. It has nothing to do with that. It's all about you feeling inspired. And my best advice for feeling inspired honestly has to be do new things or do things. Because how can you expect to feel inspired if you're seeing the same four walls every day or doing the same routine every single day for weeks on end? Because your brain is then so in a routine of being bored, doing the same thing, and you're not a robot. We're people. We have emotions and feelings, and we have a drive to do new things. So you have to feed into your body to do that, even if that's going on a walk, and if it's in a similar walk path that you would always go on, but you see something new along the way, and that inspires you to, go back and do something, even if you don't think that it's doing that in the moment. So am I more inspired since moving out here to do work and stuff? Yeah. But I feel like as much of that has to do with me having my own space and, like that, it just has to do with me experiencing new things that are making me very excited about life. So because I'm excited about life, I'm excited to do things. You know what I mean? I feel like that's just my overall summary of it, honestly. So that was me answering the questions that you all have sent in. There were a lot. I just kind of scrolled through. There was a lot of repetitive ones because I get that, people have things that they want answered, and it's kind of like what everyone wants answered. So I feel like I took a good variety. This was fun. I really enjoyed this. So thank you for listening to the first episode of the Liberated and Fragile podcast. I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much. I hope you're having a great day. Staying safe, staying well, staying inspired. Please make sure to drink some water. And I genuinely mean that, because whenever you don't, you can get headaches and it's just a mess. And like, your body just needs it. Come on, let's be fucking real. I love you. Thank you. And I'll talk to you very soon. Okay, bye. Mwah.